In this tutorial, I'll be talking about inbuilt functions for strings in PHP. So let's check our W3 schools to check the list of all these functions. So you can have W3 schools. So you have PHP tutorial, and under here you have PHP strings. So you'll be seeing the list of functions for strings. This is string length. This returns the length of a string. For example, if you have hello world, it's going to return 12. And if you count the number of characters in this string, you'll find out that it is 12. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this is counting the number of words in a string. This reverses a string. You can remember we wrote a similar function in array. So let's check this. So you have hello world, and this is a reversal. Let's remove part of the strings and run. So you can see you're having the reverse of the string. So, and a lot of strings, this replaces a string. You can check all this list. And here you have PHP string reference. You can click this to see more of the functions. So these are a lot of functions. This is echo. This is one of the functions we'll be using from the start of our tutorial. And this is explode. I so much love this function. This breaks a string into an array. So let's check it. For example, if you have a string and you want to divide these strings into an array, and this is your criteria for the division, it is called delimiter. So the strings is going to be divided according to this character you give to it. So the meaning is that when you see a space, this should be a character. This is what is divided the string. Let's check it out. So you have this particular words is now being broken down into an array. The first element is hello because after hello you have a space, and that is what we have as a criteria. And the second one is world with the dots, with the full stop, because you have the space after the full stop. So you can see this is the second element in the array, the word with a full stop. And it continues like that until you have the last item here. So you can change this, assuming you want the delimiter to be something like a dot. So let's run it. And here you can see you have 3 elements in the array. From here to here is an element because you have the full stop, and it continues from here to here is another element, and the last one is just what you have, which is just empty. So you can play with all these functions. So another one I also like to tell you about is this is used for authentication. So this is it. It compares 2 strings together, and it is case sensitive. So let's check it. So for example, if you have 2 strings and if you want to compare if these 2 strings are the same thing, so you use this inbuilt PHP function. If you run it, you can see this is 0 because the 2 strings are the same thing. And if I remove the exclamation mark here, you see that it returns 1 because the 2 strings are no more the same thing. This is very useful for user authentication. If you want to authenticate a user into a website, so after typing the username and the password, you can easily compare the username and password with what you have in your persistent storage, what you have in your database. If the value he entered corresponds to what you have in the database, then you can allow the user to log in. Otherwise, you display the necessary error message. So you can check all these inbuilt functions and you see that they are very, very interesting. So for now, I think you can perfectly apply any of the function to solve the problem you have at hand.